But if you look at these guys, they tend to be a little bit more active than your axolotl would. When they mature, I think they kind of look like a... Welcome to the Tye-Dyed Iguana, guys. I'm Eric, and I'm going to show you some stuff about some Spanish Ribbed Newts today. So, really cool part about Spanish Ribbed Newts, kind of keep them the same way as you would an axolotl, but I feel like they're a little bit more resilient, personally. So the reason they're called a Spanish Ribbed Newt is their ribs will actually poke through their side and kind of stab into the animal that is trying to attack them and kind of deter them from being eaten. These guys get about 8 to 12 inches, so a little bit smaller than your adult axolotl, but definitely not smaller in personality, for sure. Personality is much higher, in my opinion. Something a little bit more interactive. When you feed, they kind of go crazy, they smell that food, they just go nuts. I keep mine in a small colony at home, but they kind of interact with each other very well. They do kind of compete for food like any other animal in a tank, whether you have fish or axolotls. Spanish Ribbed Newts do have a pretty long life expectancy. You're looking at about 10 to 15 years with them. So not a short time by any means. In here though, we do have some of our wild types and the leucistics. Right now, those are the only two kind of morphs available. Hopefully within the future, they're gonna have a few different ones coming out. Just one of those things, you gotta get enough of them to start breeding them and make some weird stuff happen. They are from the Iberian Peninsula, so obviously from Spain, being a Spanish Ribbed Newt. But all along that area, they are easily found. They were listed as being threatened for a short period of time, but as of now, they are not. Minimum I recommend for at least 2 of them is like a 20-gallon. Even one, I would recommend a 20-gallon. If you start getting more than that, definitely go up in size. I think I had 8 in a 60 breeder at one point in time, and they did phenomenal, doing really, really well. Just a lot of surface area. You don't need that height. You don't require anywhere for them to climb out and breed or do anything like that. Although, make sure you do have a secure top because they will climb out if the opportunity presents itself. So if we kept this water level, a couple inches higher, they're gonna climb out of this tank for sure. In the way of substrate, definitely don't use a small, fine pebble. We wanna make sure that we're using something very fine, like a sand, or like a bare bottom. You can do something like slate tile, or just the bare glass, which obviously isn't very appealing. But we wanna make sure that they don't eat any of the substrate that they're in contact with. If it is a small pebble, it can easily block their digestive tract. If you're putting like small snails, things like that, it can also do the same. So we don't recommend any snails, any other species along with them. Kind of just keep them the way that they are. 65 to 74 is their main temperature. They don't like a super bright light. They prefer something a little bit dimly lit. So we do have a lot of floating plants, a lot of plants across the top. And the more plants, the better filtration, the happier they're gonna be. Now, if you do these tanks a little bit more heavily planted, as you can see here, it's a lot of fun to kind of watch them just kind of meander through all the decorations, all the live plants, and actually find their food. Those plants also help quite a bit in the filtration of the tank, just keeping the tank a little bit more stable, a little bit healthier, and really well for them. Primarily, we do a lot of the axolotl food with these guys. They're perfectly fine. It is just a nice newt pellet. I personally like to use a lot of frozen mysis shrimp, bloodworms, things like that, especially when they're younger. A lot of that fattier, meaty food does go well for them. But if you look at these guys, they tend to be a little bit more active than your axolotl would. When they mature, I think they kind of look like a manatee, personally. The females get very bulbous and kind of rotund. And the males stay a little bit slender. They do what's known as reverse amplexus, so they have a different mating strategy. Really cool species. Definitely look into them a little bit more if you are interested. But personally, I'm more a fan of these than axolotls. A little bit different of a species to work with, not something you see all the time, and in my opinion, really cool, no pun intended, based on their water temperature. If you have any questions, come ask me, any of the staff that's in here. We can definitely point you in the right direction to the best care for your Spanish Ribbed Newts. You guys have a nice night, and we'll see you next time.